today we're going to go through how e-commerce raises ethical, social, and political issues, basic concepts related to privacy and information rights, and how different methods can be used to protect online privacy, how the internet is governed, and why taxation of e-commerce raises governance and jurisdiction issues. And then we're going to go through intellectual property rights, so including copyright, trademarks, and patents in the global business environment. So how can the different perspectives on privacy be managed in a global environment like the internet? So stay in the chat or on mute if you have an answer to this question. So I'll answer it, but yeah, jump in when you have an answer. So they're managed through, I think a lot of it, so like antivirus software, VPNs, those protect you from your privacy being compromised. Also, I think debate is really important, like people debating privacy in Congress, online. I think that's important because that ensures that people, like protest is important to ensure that the people deciding privacy are held to account, which will allow them to be like ensure that there's privacy. So I think that protests, debate, VPNs, antivirus software are very important to ensure that we have privacy. We need protests because we need them to know that we need strict privacy. All these internet companies, we need to ensure that they know that we need strict privacy. What about, do you have any ideas for that second? Oh, it's okay. Don't worry. Like I never do the readings. Like I know when I was in school, I never did them either. So, internet, like other technologies, can enable new crimes, affect environment, threaten social values. So, costs and benefits must be carefully considered, especially when there are no clear-cut legal or cultural guidelines. So a model for organizing these issues raised by the internet and e-commerce can be viewed at individual, social, and political levels. So there's 4 major categories of issues, including information rights, property rights, governance, and public safety and welfare. So the moral dimensions of an internet society, there's information rights, property rights, governance, public safety, and welfare. So yeah, a lot of this, we want to ensure that, your information is protected. The problem is with companies like Facebook and Google is they've had a lot of issues with information rights, including in 2016, Cambridge Analytica. What they were doing with Facebook was they were scraping data from Facebook walls, and then they were using that data to target misinformation towards certain people to manipulate the election. So that's what they did, and Facebook has had to change a lot of their privacy settings because of that. So like they can't scrape data from Facebook pages anymore. And then, so governance is a big part. So Mark Zuckerberg, he was testifying at the U.S. Congress because of those Cambridge Analytica issues. The governance, the senators had to really test them hard on what happened, and that influenced Facebook to take a very harder look at their privacy and make it increase privacy. Also, recently with Facebook, there was a lot of problems with, so what happened recently was that was 2018, what I was saying with the hearings in Congress, but in 2021, so like in the fall, Facebook, they were found to be they were found to be manipulating people into commenting and sharing like hateful posts. They were focusing on more hateful content because they found that that generates more impressions. So that was a big problem. Now they're trying to tone that down and they're trying to focus on more positive content because they knew that to get advertiser interest, people are more interested in more angry, negative content. So they've had to go away from that and go more positive. So Facebook's had a lot of issues with information rights and governance rights. So then public safety and welfare, that would have fell into this wheelhouse too, because there would be less of a public safety focus because a lot of people would be more angry and more angry and might be more more angry and spreading online hate. So that's a big problem. So Facebook has done a lot of like Google's guilty of this too, a lot of these companies. So yeah, ethics, study of principles used to determine right and wrong courses of action, responsibility, accountability, liability, laws permitting individuals to recover damages, due process, laws are known and understood, ability to appeal to higher authorities to ensure laws applied correctly. So yeah, that's those are basic ethical concepts. So if you're gonna if I was gonna ask you, what do you think ethics is? Like, what's your definition of ethics? What's your definition of ethics? If you want to state in the chat or on mute, feel free. So let me feel free to jump in whenever, but I'll state my definition, and then you can add to it or disagree with it, whatever. So my definition of ethics, it's when you do what you think is right. Yeah, that's my definition, and it could be like something that's unethical could be legal, but you still it's something that it could be legal, but if you don't think it's right, then it's unethical. So there's a lot of things that are illegal, but they're super unethical. So so yeah, it's what ethics is my definition is to be ethical. It's doing what's right in your view. Yeah. So then process of analyzing ethical dilemmas. So 1, identify and clearly describe the facts. 2, define the conflict or dilemma. Identify the higher order values involved. Identify the stakeholders. Identify the options that you can reasonably take. And 5, identify the potential consequences of your options. So those are that's the process. The candidate ethical principles, golden rule, universalism, slippery slope, collective utilitarian principle, risk aversion, no free lunch, New York Times test, social contract rule. So those are the ethical principles. Privacy information rights. So privacy is the moral right of individuals to be left alone, free from surveillance or interference from other individuals, organizations, or state. Information privacy for premises. Right to control information collected about them. Right to be forgotten. Right to know when information is collected and give consent. Informed consent. Right to personal information due process, and right to have personal information stored in a secure manner. And then privacy in the public sector, private rights of citizens. So there's a Privacy Act by the government. And then the Personal Information Protection and Electronic Documents Act, PIPEDA. So so these protect you from your privacy being compromised. So the government has laws. These are laws that protect your privacy. So privacy issues rose with first large-scale nationwide computerized systems, so credit card systems, credit rating agencies. So Equifax, which is they do credit ratings for people. Equifax, one of the biggest credit rating agencies in the world, they were hacked, and there was data, like people had access to data that was private from that company. So there's been privacy issues with Equifax. Then historically, few claims of privacy in public open markets, such as the e-commerce. So there's a lot of privacy concerns with Amazon and other places. Emergence of internet has created enormous collections of personal data. So government. So what's happened is like business and government invades personal privacy of consumers. So in this case, the government has been able to access your banking, so there is, when you want to sign into your taxes, there's a sign-in partner that you can use, and you can enter your banking information to sign in. But the government already has your banking information because the banks send it to the government. So the government has your banking information, and also like businesses like Facebook, I know they requested the banking information of all U.S. citizens on Facebook, like all U.S. citizens, just from the government. And I'm not sure if they were successful in that, but I would be confident they would. I'd have to check that, but they did request it a few years back, but I think they probably would have been successful in getting that. So there's a lot of issues with that because there's a lot of data sharing. So like the government and businesses get your banking information because of the government ordering that, and there's a lot of issues with that. Then privacy can be compromised. So like Google, Amazon, Netflix, etc., they all can do that. Like Amazon and Netflix have your credit card information if you use their services. Like that could be hacked, and it is hacked at times. So always check your credit card and bank statement. The data collected includes personally identifiable information, PII, anonymous information, so types of data collected: name, address, phone, email, social security, bank credit accounts, gender, age, occupation, and education, preference data, transaction data, clickstream data, browser type. So websites collect all that data. Yeah. So if the website gets hacked, and that data could be all stolen by somebody that could use it for bad purposes. So yeah, just be careful with the sites you go on. And if one site has a data breach, like let's say Amazon has a data breach, make sure that no one's used your no one's like stolen, like no one's charged stuff to your credit card. So make sure that. And if they have, then cancel it. But then top concerns, so key issues in online privacy of consumers, top concerns of profiling and ad targeting, social network privacy, sharing of information with marketers, mobile phone privacy, digital systems privacy. So those are very important. And then marketing, profiling, behavioral targeting, and retargeting. So profiling is creation of data images that are characterize online individual and group behavior. Anonymous profiles, personal profiles, facial recognition of a new dimension. Advertising networks track consumer and browsing behavior on web, dynamically adjust what user sees on the screen, build and refresh profiles of consumers. Then, yeah. So business perspective increases effectiveness of advertising, subsidize content, enables sensing of demand for new products. Critics' perspective undermines expectation of anonymity and privacy, enables price discrimination. Social networks, privacy, and self-revelation. Social networks encourage sharing personal details, pose unique challenge maintaining privacy. So Facebook has a massive database, and they use that database to determine what types of ads you want to see. So for me, I really like cycling. I like comedy. I like all that kind of stuff. So I get ads for a lot of like cycling stuff. So because they have that data in their database, they target ads towards me for cycling, let's say, and then sharing information with third parties. So they sell their information to third parties potentially. So the company, they do that to make money off of Facebook, because if they don't target ads to us, then Facebook doesn't make any money. So that's very important. And then so that's balanced with people keeping their information under their control. So you got to have a good balance, because the company making money off of targeting ads has to be balanced with your privacy. So like sometimes when they're making money off of targeting ads towards you, that can be a problem for your privacy a lot. So they try to like, it's kind of a trade-off. They have to balance it out. So then mobile apps, they take personal information and to mobile advertisers to target ads, and they track and store user locations. So they may promote a store for something that you like that's nearby because of your location, and they track users' use of other apps. So this can be a privacy issue. I know with Uber, there was an issue where they tracked the location of all their customers, and they like actually used it to stalk customers, and that's a concern. Apple had a lot of issues with Uber doing that, because you're not supposed to track and stalk customers, and Apple found out about that, and they were considering banning Uber from the App Store like forever. So like location data is very concerning. And also Apple, what happened with Apple was they had this tracker that like you could track somebody's phone. Like it was like this tag that you could have that could track somebody's phone, and they were not hard to get, and people were stalking people with this tracker. So like the location data is really concerning, because people can be using to stalk people. And then persistent location tracking, so that's an issue. Then U.S. Supreme Court rules that police need warrant prior to searching a cell phone for information. So that's good for privacy, because there's a lot of privacy concerns to a legal search. You need a warrant to ensure that there's privacy there. And then privacy policies are usually through website terms of use notices. And then, but the problem is that recent studies showed that these policies would take average reader 8 hours to read. They're very long. No one reads them. And they've got a lot of conditions that basically violate your privacy. And then they have conflicting statements, little oversight in comparison between policies of different companies. So they're very long, and you're kind of signing a lot of your rights away, which is a concern. So solutions to privacy issues are intelligent tracking and protection, differential privacy software, privacy preserving machine learning, PPML, privacy default browsers, message encryption. So that's good. You can do that through Telegram or Signal. So Telegram and Signal have message encryption, so that's important to protect your privacy. Spyware blockers, pop-up blockers, and ad blockers, secure email, anonymous emailers. So you can do secure email through Outlook now, where it's encrypted. Cookie managers, public key encryption. So also I'd put in VPNs on there, virtual private networks, and antivirus software also. So you can get VPNs out there too. I have a VPN. VPNs are great. Then intellectual property, all tangible and intangible products of human minds. Major ethical issue, how should we treat property that belongs to others? Major social issue is their continued value in protecting intellectual property in the internet age. Major political issue, how can internet and e-commerce be regulated or governed to protect intellectual property? So how do you think internet and e-commerce can be regulated to protect intellectual property? So stay in the chat, unmute, like if you have an answer to that. What? Oh, what do you mean portals? Yeah, it's a hard question. So I think the question should maybe protect your data. Maybe I think intellectual property. It's not the right phrase for it. Yeah, it should be your data. That's probably good. Yeah. It's a hard question. Maybe not sell data to other companies. Keep it under one roof. No one can look at your data for like. It's only robots that look at your data. Government ensuring that user privacy is protected under law. There's a lot of things they can do, but yeah, the problem is for these companies making money, these Facebook's making money, they need to user privacy will increase user privacy will reduce their profits, which is a problem for them. Like as more privacy goes up, their profits are going to go down. So they have to figure out what the right amount of privacy is for like the right amount of profits. So it's a big trade-off. Because to make more money, there's less user privacy basically. Yeah. Because they make money off of like getting rid of user privacy. So it's a hard balance. So main types of protection are copyright, patent, trademark law, and trade secrets law. Goal of intellectual property law, balance two competing interests, public and private. Maintaining this balance of interests is always challenged by the invention of new technologies. So copyright protects original forms of expression, not ideas, from being copied from others, but for a period of time. Fair use doctrine, Digital Millennium Copyright Act of 1998. First major effort to adjust copyright laws to the internet age. Implements WIPO treaty that makes it illegal to make, distribute, or use devices to prevent technology-based protection of copyrighted materials and safer harbor provisions. Then trademarks. They're important to like slogan something like so like I'm loving it by McDonald's. That's trademarked statement. So they use that as kind of a brand usually. McDonald's is trademarked, Burger King's trademarked, Walmart's trademarked, like all of those are trademarked. And then it protects the company against it being stolen. And yeah, trademark, it can be good for your brand. Like it'd be a good brand slogan for you. So like you could trademark like a sentence that you have that's catchy. So then, here, meta tagging, keywording, linking and deep linking, framing, those are good for ranking your website higher in a search engine. So meta tagging, you could put like, with that website we went through, it's that website, answerthepublic.com. you could figure out meta tags and keywording that you could use. So answerthepublic.com, you type in something, let's say you're selling t-shirts, type that into answerthepublic.com, and then you get like meta tagging and keywording that you can use for your tags on your website and keywords on your website. So that's a good way to, get more search traffic. So trade secrets are business procedures, formulas, and methods of manufacturing and service delivery. So it's like a way, it's basically, let's say you have a recipe to make food that you want to hide. So like for Big Macs, for example, you want to hide the recipe. So that's a trade secret because you can't really patent it. You can't really patent a recipe. So you do a trade secret where the recipe is hidden from people. So it's secret, has commercial value to owner. Owner has taken steps to protect. So trade secrets are, recipes usually fall under trade secrets because you can't patent a recipe. So they want to protect it from being duplicated, from being used by another company. Then who governs the internet and e-commerce? So it's self-regulation through internet policy and technical bodies. There's limited government regulation. So it's usually done by it's done by all the websites working together to make standards, and then the government sometimes comes in to criticize those companies on issues they have with privacy. So let's do a class discussion on this. So what's wrong with buying prescription drugs online, especially if the prices are lower? So unmute or state in the chat. Agreed. Yeah.
You have no idea, you have no way of verifying if it's the right original product you're getting.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah. Great. Good job, Second. Yeah. That's excellent. Yeah. It's the Canadian Food Inspection Agency. They inspect all types of drugs, food, drinks that are sold in the market, and you can't, you're not sure if they've inspected that online. But if you buy it from a store, they have to be inspected by the CFIA. So that's a good check on that, but or pharmacy. But if you do it online, there's a lot of issues. And then what are the risks and benefits of online pharmacies?
Probably cheaper prices.
That's true.
Right.
Agreed. Yeah, so Nachiketa said you cannot regulate how much someone is buying. That's true. That's true. Yeah, because they could be potentially buying a lot of it and then selling it to other people, which is a huge issue. Then benefit is convenience. Yeah, that's true. So it could be delivered to your door. That's true. That's great. And like you said, it's it could be cheaper. And then also the delivery is convenient. And then what are the challenges in regulating online pharmacies? Yeah.
Government under the same. Or under the government.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
That is kind of an example that government can't really do.